Good morning and welcome to StudyIQ, my dear friends. I am Prashant Mavani. I hope you all are doing good. The most important article of the day is this one, The Great Indian Abdication. It's talking about Parliament. It's talking about Judiciary. In recent past, we have observed this thing that most important changes, this social freedoms and, protecting and advancing social freedom, or when it comes to deepening our democracy, all these things are executed solely by Judiciary. Is it a right thing? Is it a good thing for us? Of course not, right? We have a Parliament. Parliament should work proactively. If we have some outdated laws, then it is the job of the Parliament to make sure that we are not carrying this burden of this outdated laws on our back. We need to get rid of all those outdated laws. We have to constantly review and constantly revise all the laws that we have at present, because when it comes to creating a law, it is the duty of Parliament. When it comes to interpretation of law, like say for example, just giving you a rough example here, that if we are not sure about a particular law, then we can knock the doors of courts, and then we can find out what is the actual meaning of a given law or a law in question. But the main job of adding as well as deleting law is of Parliament. But what we find is when it comes to social freedoms or advancing and protecting social freedoms, when it comes to our rights, when it comes to making our life bit more better, we find that Parliament is not that active, particularly in recent past. But when it comes to making lives of political parties and politicians bit easier, bit more, I would say, to keep it in more grey area, then Parliament will become a bit active. And we have this example here, Foreign Contribution Regulation Act, right? This law was recently passed in our Parliament, from our Parliament, and without any discussion, right? Was pushed through without any discussion in Parliament and hardly any debate in the public sphere. This is a very sad thing, because what this law is trying to achieve is all those funds and money that you have got from foreign companies or individuals since 1976, right? Since 1976 to the present day, all the money that you have got, right, from foreign companies, if it is coming from if it is a black money, or if it is coming from this money laundering route, it's fine. Everything is accepted because this law is passed. So you can see here clearly something that is in favor of Parliament. And generally we find that opposition party is a bit active when it comes to Rafale deal, and when it comes to this and that, they are very active and they are shouting and throwing papers here and there. But when it comes to this sort of thing, right, they are hand in glove with government. They are not resisting because they know it very well. And it's not that I'm favoring any particular political party. I'm not associated with any political party at all. But what I can say here is that when it comes to political party that is a ruling party or opposition party, when it comes to politics, I'm talking about core politics. I'm talking about this political parties and their interests. When it comes to their interests and protecting their interests is concerned, all of the sudden, they will have this glue, this permanent glue that is binding and making sure that they all stick together, right? You find this, what do we say? I'm not finding the right word here, but I would say a friendship, a bondship or a fellowship that they demonstrate when it comes to protecting political parties. Something similar was visible during RTI and CIC, that is Central Information Commission, was saying that these political parties, they get benefits, tax exemption, they get money from government, support from government, and so many things. So they should fall under a right to information. But at that point of time as well, this fellowship was demonstrated by party that was ruling at that point of time. And it's not only one time, we have seen this thing many a times, and we find this weird behavior, or a very, you can say, fishy behavior of political parties. If we talk about our Prime Minister, then he rarely attends parliamentary debates, and this affects the sanctity of the forum. If we observe and if we go through some facts, what we find is that in 1950s, Lok Sabha met for an average 127 days. In 2017, Lok Sabha met for an average 57 days only. If 72 bills were passed in a year, in the first Lok Sabha, the number was 40 in 15th Lok Sabha, that is 2009 to 14. So, budget session, right? Let's add some more figures here. Budget session, the time that was allotted, this year's budget we are talking about, right? The time that was allotted for debate and discussion, only 1% of that time was used for the budget session. Can you believe this thing? Rafale fighter deal, it's going on for, fighter aircraft deal, it's going on for a bit of long time now. People are, stretching this thing. It should be handed over to joint parliamentary committee, where you have politicians from various different political parties. So let them go through it, and they will find out whether there is anything fishy about this deal or not. But what we find here, and this is very sad, because of we are surrounded by so many entertainment sources, right? We have our WhatsApp and Facebook and television and radio, and everywhere we find this entertainment industry is everywhere. And I think now a little bit of entertainment is not giving us that kick. It's just like drugs and some sort of this sort of material that people consume. That after a certain amount of time, one glass of whiskey is not going to be enough for that person. He or she would require 2 glass or 3 glass, or maybe a bottle or 2, whatever. So something similar is going on with us as well, because entertainment is generally speaking everywhere, or we seek entertainment, and in entertainment we find happiness. For whatever reason, we are seeking something similar with our parliamentarians as well, and that's what we find in parliament, right? The way things are delivered, the way the words are used. You have a team. They have a team. It's not a raw discussion that we are doing at present. It's a well crafted, each and every word. What are the words that they are going to use and not use, and all this preparation is this pre-delivery or pre-discussion preparation takes place. You have experts and you have hired agencies who are going to support you and things like that. So what I'm trying to tell you here is that generally what we find is, what did Rahul Gandhi said in the parliament? Whether he said something was something out of blue, something very entertaining, or what about Narendra Modi? The way he speaks and the way he has said something, these are not the most important. Of course they do play a role, but it's not the most important thing is the person who is there, right? Is he, whatever he is saying, he or she, right, are they saying the real truth, right? Is it the truth that we find on our televisions? What we see on live, many a times, people are misbehaving. Someone is speaking and they are not even following all these rules and regulations that are already there. How many times we have seen suspension of MPs and MLAs? Very rarely we find, that the main person, the chairman or this speaker, dismissing or suspending that particular MP or MLA for a bit of time, punishment for misbehavior. We don't find this sort of things, and because of this thing, they are wasting huge amount of our time. And it took 70 years for our nation to get rid of a law that was totally outdated. It was totally biased. When it comes to adultery as well, it was biased. We have rules, regular. We have so many people, right? They are so educated and they know so many things about, but this sort of things are not discussed in parliament. What is discussed is, because you have live cameras of the whole country on you, what they do, that's what I think what they do is, how our mind works is, we will remember very strong bad experience. It will stay with us forever. And same thing goes with strong positive experience. They stay with us for a long time too. Average experiences, they will stay, will not, depends, but these two extremes, they have a bit of a hold over us. They will stay with us. So if some parliamentarian is trying to make you laugh, or if he or she is speaking something that will strike you, so this sort of tactics what they do is they deliver things in such a way that it will strike you, and but that's what they want, right? And that's what they do. They play politics in places where they should not, or they are not expected to. But then as well, they have made this thing. So far enough has been said by about this politicians as well as parliament, the job that parliament should be doing and the things that it is not doing. Now let's move on to second you can say pillar, that is judiciary, right? We know that most of the stand or important social reforms in recent past is coming from judiciary or this Supreme Court. Now, is it a good thing? If you ask me, I would say no, it's not, because Supreme Court or judiciary is an unelected body. We have already discussed about the main job of Supreme Court. The other thing, or Supreme Court or judiciary, when I say Supreme Court, I'm talking about judiciary, just in case if there is a slip of tongue. So when it comes to our judiciary, right, we have a very unique culture in our judiciary, and as far as I know, there is no other country, particularly major country. If we talk about big country heavyweights, then there is no heavyweight around the world that is following this process of judges are appointing judges. So it's not the most cleanest or the most perfect judge appointment system in the world. So we have to be a bit careful about this thing as well. The other thing is, right, what we find is judiciary is not, you can say, immune to this, to the ground reality or the realities of our society. We know that we have vulnerable sections of our society. We have this paradoxical situation in our society. You have few people who are very rich. You have few people. You have a huge amount of people who are very poor. They don't have that many you can say privileges and things like that. I'm talking about real life. I'm not talking about constitution here. So something similar is reflected, or this reflection of our society, we find it in judiciary as well. Because if you go through the number of Dalits or number of tribals who have reached here to Supreme Court, I'm talking about not as a victim but as a judge, right? Then you find the figure is very low. In lower judiciary as well, OBC constitutes what, just 12%. When it comes to SC, ST, it's just 14%. When we talk about women, right, then after 42 years, we have got, I think, Indu Malhotra, Justice, I forgot her surname. I tried to remember her surname, but somehow, strangely, I can't. But you know this KM Joseph issue, this Uttarakhand judge, and he was supposed to become Supreme Court judge, and because of this issues going on with government and this tussle that is going on between Supreme Court or judiciary and or the collegium and government, and because of this thing his name was, so at that point of time we saw the appointment of 3 judges. So you have one lady judge and you have 2 men. So I think Justice Indu, she's the one. After 42 years, a lady reached a Supreme Court as a judge. So far, since independence, we have seen only 4 women, reaching here as a judge of Supreme Court. So clearly, judiciary as well is not, you can say, immune to reality or ground realities. Cases or 3.3 crore cases are pending in judiciary, and what we expect, right, what we are finding nowadays is some sort of rubbish PILs are found, like pornography, where you need to watch pornography in your room or outside, whether it is important or necessary for us to stand up during national anthem whilst watching a movie, or before your cinema or before your movie, you need to go through this, stand up for pay respect to national anthem. Vegetarian and non-vegetarian compartments in a railway, and then you have whether namaz is important for, or is important part of Islam or not, or what is the definition of Hinduism, and all these sort of things, are thrown in front of Supreme Court as PILs, and it is so busy with all these things, and because of this thing we find 3.3 crore cases. There are other reasons as well, but we have one strong reason is this sort of PILs as well. The other thing is because of all these things, right, 67% of people, right, in Indian prisons, right, they are waiting their proper trial. So you can clearly see breach of fundamental rights here, right. When it comes to a celebrity, when it comes to a big name, what we say is that that person is guilty or not. We have to wait for the final verdict. We cannot declare that person. But what about this 67% of people, right, out of total people that you have in your jails, 67% they are under trial. So they should be released, isn't it? Whether they have done something wrong or not, it's not proven, and they are there for ages. So that's not fair too. The other thing is, if we want to stop all these things that are going on, and recently we have seen that politically motivated lynchings, it's going on, and judiciary took a stand on this thing, but nothing nothing happened, or results are not there, because they know, these politicians, that how to win elections and what are the things that are hit in the market. Whether it is right or wrong, it doesn't matter. But if you know this formula, winning formula, then carry on, stick with the winning formula. It doesn't matter if it is destroying democracy or not, right? We should be in power, and if we are not, then we should do everything that will make us, in this position of power. So there is only one key, and this key has succeeded in not only our country. We have this history as well, and we have observed this thing in various different parts of the world. People's consciousness, active participation by people, right, rather than just thinking about ourselves. If we think about our society too, if we play a very, you can say, important role raising our voice. We have the tools and everything now. We have social media. If we use it positively, then it can work as a big revolution. But the thing is, we are too busy with entertainment, and that is one of the reasons why I believe that still this consciousness, this people's consciousness is still not there, or else this political parties, they would have changed their behavior long time ago. So that's everything in this one of the most important article that we find in today's The Hindu newspaper. Now, before moving ahead, let me tell you, up to 50% discount is available. It's a Navratri sale that is going on, and it's going to last till 16th October only. Make the most out of it. You can download the PDF of today's lecture from my FB page and Twitter handle. Now, we have these two articles. One is called Us Too, and the other one is about Me Too, and here you can find this picture as well, this cartoon, in fact, right. This cartoon is, I'm sure you have figured it out. It's MJ Akbar. MJ Akbar is Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, and a lady has alleged that, not I think one, but there are a couple of ladies, because this person here, he used to, at present he is a minister, junior minister, but he was working in media, and he was an editor, if I'm not wrong. And there are a few ladies out there, they have alleged that this person here, this MJ Akbar, has sexually abused them. This whole thing started from, last year. It was in USA, this Me Too campaign started, and it was against a very famous person, in Hollywood, and he was abusing, or he has abused so many actresses and other female workers throughout his career. And a lady took a stand on this social media, and after that we saw so many other ladies, they started coming out and revealing their trauma and things that happened with them and things like that. Recently we have seen it in Bollywood as well, or Indian film industry. Tanushri Datta and Nana Patekar's case. Then you have this famous actor called Alok Nath. Two ladies have alleged that this Alok Nath has done something similar. Then we have other cases as well in today's newspaper. So all these things are taking place, or you can say the voice, I mean to say. I'm not saying that all these wrong things are going on only in film and media industry, but at present what we find is this voice is being raised by ladies lot from this film and media industry, and it's not just limited to, as it's a common sense thing that it's not just limited to this sort of abuses are not limited to film and media industry. It's going on sadly in every different sphere or everywhere, but this sort of things are happening. We have so many cases, and the sad thing is this indicates that this systematic pattern of abuse and silence is going on for a very long period of time. And the way society is set up, if something goes wrong with, if a lady will try to, I'm talking about normal scenario, if a lady will take a stand, and if she will say that something was, someone, her boss or someone else or colleague is trying to, harass her or stalk her or something bad, right? Then the first finger will be raised on the lady itself, that why you need to work, right? You don't need to do your job, just you are married now, you can look after your kids. This sort of things are been said. The other thing is people will start talking about her, and so now this sort of attitude has created this systematic pattern of abuse, and because the whole blame is thrown on the victim, what happens is that victim will become silent, and when you are silent, when you are not raising your voice, the abuser will keep on exploiting you. And this is a thing that we have seen so far in not only our society, but this has been sadly throughout the world. This sort of things have been, because imagine generally what we find or what we believe sitting here in India, we think that Hollywood, it's they are very broad-minded and they don't mind sleeping with anyone, this sort of negative things we hear, but that's not right. Dignity is universal, right? The other thing is, if you abuse someone, or if you are trying to create this sort of, we are so smart, our brain is so advanced, that even if someone is trying to do something bad with you, in a microsecond you will realize that this person is the way this person is touching me is not appropriate. All these things are, you don't need any sort of professional training, right? It's very natural because it is associated with this threat system, flight or fight mode and things like that. Anyways, we are not going into the science of how our mind works, but we have other cases. You have this External Affairs Minister MJ Akbar's case. Then you have the person on your screen, Terry Chairman RK Pichori, his case. See here, when this police complaint was filed against him, he was chairman. He continued as a chairman for 1 year. So this is a thing. And then you have this fast track cases of editor of Tehelka, Tarun Tejpal, going on since last 5 years. So we need to change the system. This is not how it should work. And for men who are claiming that we may find, it's a potential victimhood, that for brownie points and for destroying your career, you can find this sort of we are going to find a little bit of collateral damage, because this is a part and parcel of justice system, right? You are going to find a little bit of collateral damage. We have to make sure that it is as minimum as possible. At the same time, media trials should be rejected by every one of us, right? The more we watch this sort of videos on YouTube or on TV channels or on our mobile phone, the more this sort of items, there is an industry out there that is creating this sort of things. So we have to understand this thing. If something is wrong, then we need proper investigation. This is the best. We don't have any other method at present. This is the only way. If something is wrong, let us go for a thorough, impartial investigation, right? And then let's seek truth. What is the real thing going on between this Nana Patekar's case or Tanushree Datta's case, right? Or any other cases. And let judiciary decide, and let us make it a bit easier for everyone, because as you know, judiciary is not immune to media trial. Judiciary is not immune to our opinion, right? So we have to be very careful here, because we don't want an innocent person, right? A male or female, we don't want an innocent person to go through this sort of pain. Now we have this editorial and economics fix. It's about William and Paul. They have got this joint 2018 a Nobel Prize in economics. And this gentleman here, he has worked for integrating climate change into long-run macroeconomics, and he has worked for integrating technological innovations into long-run macroeconomic analysis. Now it is very easy to understand it because we have talked about this sort of things many a time. So what Mr. Nordus or William, what he's trying to tell us is that we need to impose carbon tax, right? Carbon tax is money that if you are generating, say for example, 10 kilo of carbon, then there should be a certain amount of tax that you need to pay, and this money can be utilized for research and other things, for positive things, to make sure that minimum carbon is released. He has worked, this Paul Roma, he has worked for this technology. What he is saying is that technology, new ideas, innovations are bringing new ways of doing things, and this is right in achieving economic growth as well. So it's very easy to understand. It looks simple, but the time they worked on this thing, at that point of time, it was no one worked on this thing, and what they have taught us is particularly relevant in the developing world. Then you have this Wither inclusiveness. It's about Windrush. So this whole topic of Windrush, very quickly, back in 1960s, there was a huge demand of labor, a certain kind of labor in England or in UK, and so people from West Indies, they were brought in this ship called Windrush. Now after 58, 55 years, what government is trying to tell them is that you don't have any passport, you don't have any proper documents, so you go back to your country. After 50, 60 years, if you're asking people to go back, then this is not going to happen, because when they came here, at that point of time, they were, immigrants. But now they are part of your society. They have their second and third generation. They are part of your society. They have born and bred in your society. So if you are, all of a sudden, if you are asking them to go back, then this is a breach of human rights. The other thing is, it also indicates or highlights this attitude towards immigrants in the UK. And there are people out there, they think that there are lots and lots of millions and millions of immigrants living in the UK, but the actual total population of migrants is just 9%, and this includes everyone, right? Indians, Pakistani and Chinese and everyone. It's just 9%. So it's not that they are taking away everything from this people of UK. Now we have some important news. 9 killed as Titli, that is a very severe cyclonic storm, hits Andhra Pradesh and Odisha. Thousands are in relief camps. Save Ganga Crusader Agrawal, full name GD Agrawal, 86. He passed away. He suffered an heart attack. He was on this fast. So it's very sad. It's very, very, very heartbreaking news that we have. Rather than youngsters, they should be taking a stand. We still find that our elderly people, they are taking stand on important issues. No pressure to choose Reliance has been said by Daso. MJ Akbar case, Smriti Irani bets for women. She has said that if whoever is right, finally he or she is going to win. And she has said that if women are facing this sort of issues, then we need to take a stand. So again, investigation is the final call, and US sanctions are not going to be a big hurdle, has been said by Russian ambassador. He has said that S-400 Triumph missile deal is the first step. We are going to have some more defense deals in near future. Antibiotics to grow farm animals raise superbug risk. A big article that you find in the Hindu newspaper. Maldives court is going to hear this Yemen's plea. You know that Yemen, this outgoing president, he has challenged this result of recently held election. And when it comes to global hunger index, our position is very, very bad. Out of 119 countries, our rank is 103rd. So we are in a very bad shape. Our defense minister, she is in France. So you can see here her schedule and big investments. Basically, government is going through the data of these 6 companies. All of them belongs to this Reliance group. And what government is trying to see is that under this UPA government, if anything wrong is not, it's just want to make sure that nothing wrong took place during this UPA government, or there was a nexus between UPA government and this Reliance industry. And then you have this ship shape, right? It's about 80% of global trade by volume and 70% by value is carried by sea. So importance of waterways here. Just a small figure but important one for your mains answer writing. You have some vocabs here. The answer of yesterday's map-based question is Sierra Leone. And today I have got a bit unique question for you. Can you give me a place where exactly you will find Ivory Coast, Slave Coast, and Gold or Golden Coast, right? These are the three various different names of coasts. So where do you find them, and what was the most important thing about these coasts? Answers for yesterday's question and today's new questions. That's everything, and I have got before saying goodbye to you, a funny picture for you, right? It's really funny. I was literally laughing when I saw this picture. I thought I should share it with you guys as well. So carry a smile on your face. Enjoy your day. God bless you all. Do share this lecture with other people. Jai Hind.